Hey y'all, I am gonna go ahead and flip the camera around. Hey! Okay, so I have a friend who has a new baby who needs some body butter, and I am fresh out of my pre-made large batch, so I'm gonna actually make some today so that I can bring her some. And I like to make the body butter that I add oils to in a really large batch, and then split it up into smaller 4-ounce containers to use for a lot of different uses. So a lot of people ask me about this tallow body butter that I love to make because I think they hear some ingredients that they're not too familiar with, the tallow being the main one, and they're not really sure if they want to give it a try. A lot of people try to whip up just plain solid coconut oil. And if you live in a really cold environment for the most part, and you also don't mind the consistency of pure coconut oil, that can be totally fine. I live in Texas, so for over half the year, we have weather that just completely flattens and it puts right back into a liquid or solid form, like flat, that whipped coconut oil. And I also don't really love just plain coconut oil straight all over my skin. So a few years ago, I was looking for something else that I could make at home to make sure that all of the ingredients in what we were using on our skin was nourishing and healthy and completely free of chemicals. So I found a couple of resources that pointed me towards tallow. So I'm going to go ahead and show you the tallow that I get and walk you through what that is. I get the Fatworks Pure Tallow, and we actually get it directly from their website, but if you are a thrive.com member, that's actually the best price that you can get it for if you're getting it, if you're getting other things from there as well, if you're a member. Okay, so we use the tallow above any other plant-based fatty oil because it is the closest product to our natural composition of our skin. It's almost 50% bioidentical. The compounds in it match the needs of our skin really, really well. So tallow absorbs a little better, is more soothing to the skin, and provides better long-term benefits to the skin than coconut oil, olive oil, argan oil, any of the vegetable oils. So it may freak you out a little bit that you're using tallow from rendered beef fat. That is what tallow is. But when you think about traditional skincare, conventional skincare, you can actually go and look up the chemical names that tallow is often called, and you can find that most beauty products for nourishing the skin, for soothing those fine lines and wrinkles, moisturizers, a lot of the things that you can find on the grocery store and pharmacy's shelves actually already has tallow in it. And the crazy thing about the tallow that's used in those conventional products is that you have no idea where it's sourced from. I can almost guarantee they are not sourcing their tallow from fat rendered from grass-fed cows. So with this Fatworks tallow, you know exactly what is going on to your skin, and you're giving your skin one of the best moisturizers you can. So we are going to go ahead and do part 1 of this. There will be 2 scopes on this just because we're going to have to let it cool, and then I can come back and show you how we whip it. I promise this is so simple, but I always have people tell me, hey, will you let me know when you're making again? Hey, can you bring me some over? And I promise it is so much more simple than you think it is. So I like a ratio of 3 parts tallow, 1 part coconut oil. And, oh, hi, Susanna. So I love to use the whole jar of tallow because it is a little more of a hassle to measure it out and then make smaller batches. So I know that this is 14 ounces, so then I aim for about half a cup of coconut oil and the entire jar of the tallow, which is almost 2 cups. So I already moved some into the double boiler. But that is the ratio that I like. I like 3 parts tallow, 1 part coconut oil. And because this is 14 ounces, we can, you can do your math. It's 4.5 ounces or so. So I just do about half a cup. I am not one of those. It has to be exactly measured, perfect kind of people. If that's you, you can get out your little scale or whatever you want to do. But don't worry about that. Honestly, it's going to be a good consistency. It may not always be exactly the same every time you make it, and that's totally okay. So really all you're going to need is a stand mixer, your coconut oil, and your tallow. I recommend getting the unrefined raw, especially if you can get the centrifuge expressed coconut oil, and then your oils that you're going to mix if you're going to make some up today. But if you're just going to make a large batch to share for later, then that's, just you can do that later too. And then storage jars, if you have big Pyrex dishes or old coconut oil containers or jars around the house. If you're like me, you have way too many mason jars and you just can fill them with your body butter. Yeah, and then just your measuring tools and measuring cups. I actually use a knife for the most part to get all of the tallow out, especially if it's cold where you are right now. The tallow is going to be pretty solid. You might want to put it in hot water just to loosen it up a little bit before you try to get it out, but otherwise it'll melt down really easily. And then I highly recommend using the double boiler. It is pretty straightforward. Just put an inch of water, 1.5 inches of water in the bottom, and add your oils. And you go ahead and put all your tallow in and all of your coconut oil in, and that's not going to work for me. I'm going to have to set the phone down for a second. Put y'all here. Yeah, so we're just going to add the oils in and let them melt down together. And as silly as that sounds, that is all you're going to do. That's the first step. So if you guys have any questions for me while this is melting down, it's going to take a couple minutes, so I can hang out with you guys for a second. If we don't have any questions, I'll hop off and wait for you guys to come back for part 2. I did want to mention that I'm going to have both of these videos saved on my catch.me account, and you can just follow my Periscope handle on catch, and then we'll probably also save them to the Essential Sisterhood YouTube channel. So guys, if you guys have any questions about tallow, about body butter, where do we buy the tallow? So I mentioned a little earlier that we actually get it directly from Fatworks. We have a wholesale account and we retail it at our chiropractic office in Coppell. But you can get it online directly from that company, fatworks.com. Or if you are a real food, primal, paleo, low grain kind of person and you have a Thrive account, if you look into that company, thrive.com, it's kind of like a Costco membership for real healthy food, and then you can get a really good price on the Fatworks tallow, much cheaper than the cost of shipping and the full cost on the Fatworks website. So I highly recommend Thrive if you don't already have that account. We use this body butter for a number of purposes. I have used just this week, my husband uses his own blend on his whole body. He mixes up with Shutran, black spruce, and cedarwood. He uses that on his face. He uses it as a lotion. He loves it. I do frankincense and lavender for myself, just as a body lotion. I make a chest rub, so we've been using a chest rub with RC and a couple of other oils for the kids this week. And this has been so quick. This is already almost rendered down. I saw somebody ask about the smell. The smell of tallow does not bother me. So you might find that it bothers you. I have had some of our Essential Sisterhood members tell me I don't know how many drops to put in so that I can mask the smell. It smells like mashed potatoes. So I have had people tell me that. You can always add a stronger smelling oil. Lavender pretty well masks it, or something that is fruity and uplifting like Citrus Fresh to kind of cover the smell. Honestly, the smell doesn't bother me at all. Yeah, if you don't mind mashed potatoes, then no problem. I feel like that's the closest that it smells to. And honestly, like once it's whipped up, it doesn't really seem to have too much of a scent. Okay, so I'm going to show you, this is almost completely melted down, and that is as simple as it once it's completely melted down, then I'm going to move it into here, and then I'm going to stick it in the freezer and just check it every 30 minutes. It is so simple, y'all. You're going to love this body butter. The reason that you do want to melt it all the way down together before trying to whip it is it's just going to give a completely different consistency. The tallow is grainy. As it congeals on its own, or sorry, as it changes from liquid to solid on its own, it is grainy. And so when you would rub that on your skin directly, you would feel those little grains and bumps. It's not smooth and light. So when you have boiled it down all together, you're actually going to get, sorry, I'm getting my spoon. You're actually going to get a really good consistency. And I just have this on medium heat, nothing exciting. It's completely boiled down and ready to be transferred into the KitchenAid. And I hope y'all don't feel silly for me showing this to you today, because I'm telling you, it's so simple. If you haven't tried it, go on Thrive, get your account set up, and order your tallow. This is so great to share with friends and family members. It's such a luxe, nice gift. It also, you'll use it so often. You'll use it for everything. This is a great one if you're doing care clubs for Young Living for your members. This is a great one to send so people can make up their own. You can send a sample of Raven and send them a little batch of body butter so they can use it right away. You can do so many things with this. You can send them skincare oils in a little container so that they can make their own face cream. You can do so many things with this one. Okay, so this is not even hot. I'm gonna see if I can do it one-handed. Maybe I won't. Let's not burn myself on Periscope. All right, oh my gosh, isn't that cute? Can you believe that? I'm sorry, tangent. My husband did that when my son was like a year old. Isn't that adorable? Mother's Day. My husband's adorable. All right, here we go. That's it, y'all. I'm just gonna put it in here and stick it in the freezer. And maybe when I open my freezer, you'll see that my son froze some of his animals in the freezer. I think he already took them out. But here we go. Just gonna open. All right. Excuse us, I've got some fork in the way. All right, that's it. I am gonna check it every 30 minutes as it starts to come together. I am the most intimidated by the body butter just because you do have to have it a certain consistency for it to whip up. So if I try to stick it in the stand mixer now, it's not gonna do anything. It's just gonna swirl around melted oil. So you do have to kind of wait for it to be slushy. So the benefit of doing this on Periscope for y'all is that you'll get to see what I consider slushy and what whips up well for me. And it's gonna be a piece of cake. All right, guys, it's probably gonna take about an hour to 2 hours. I'm gonna keep looking at it, but in our members group for Central Sisterhood, I will post that I'm about to hop back on. And for y'all that are just catching me on Periscope, feel free to just kind of watch for my name in a little bit. All right, bye y'all.